Welcome to Distribution Talk with Jason Bader, the show where we dive into the stories, struggles, and solutions from business owners and thought leaders in the wholesale distribution market. Hey, podcast listeners, Jason here. In this episode, I had the opportunity to speak with Steven Lazar, president of Lazco Corporation. Lazco is in the business of helping HVAC manufacturers and distributors turn surplus inventory into working capital. One of the great things about Steven is his desire to take the success of his business and channel it into his passion to help others heal through faith. I thoroughly enjoyed getting to know Steven in this conversation, and I hope you do too. All right. Hey, Steven, I really appreciate you coming on Distribution Talk. It's great to hear you.
Jason, I'm honored to be here with you today. It's a great day.
All right, my friend. Well, hey, one of the things I love to do on Distribution Talk is I love to dive into the history of how someone got into the business. So please give me a history lesson. How did you get involved with this many, many years ago?
Well, my name is Steven Lazar, and I'm current president of Lazco Corporation. But I've been in the industry now for 41 years. And what's interesting is after graduating San Diego State in 1979, I came to work for my father's heating and air conditioning company in Chicago called Airwise. And I learned much there, Jason. I created a showroom there. We had 10,000 customers. My father had a photographic memory, and I did not. So I took all 10,000 and put them in a database. So when I'd go on sales leads, I would actually bring a book of the names and people could see the people they knew. We had a book of testimonies. And we were a Carrier dealer, we were a Lennox dealer, Trane dealer. And so I was personally selling about $500,000 worth of equipment. I also handled advertising and marketing. And so I learned a lot. But anyway, I had friends of mine in the surplus business of general commodities. So I said, I'm going to try to bring this into the heating and air conditioning industry. So we formed a company called Speedway Supply. And actually, I began to call manufacturers and distributors to see if they would have surplus inventories. And the first deal we bought was from York, 1,000 Westinghouse FGUJ 120 gas furnaces. Back then, it was a pilot furnace, 46 inches. And I bought a list of contractors, and we started selling that furnace for $195, one free with 12. So Speedway and Airwise were working together out of a building in Elk Grove Village. What's funny is the building was called Sweetheart Pies prior to us coming in. They had a large oven there. They had a 5,000 square foot freezer. I ended up selling the oven and the freezer, and we stuck the furnaces in the 5,000 square feet. And from there, I began to work with other companies like Fetter's company. We helped liquidate them, and we had a catalog that was going around the country. And it was doing quite well. But I realized that Speedway and Airwise had to make a split because it was being convoluted in a way. Airwise was using the equipment, but I really wanted to have a separate operation. So I bought my father out and moved to a 25,000 square foot operation in Skokie, Illinois. And so from there, Speedway was selling all over the country. Now, what's interesting is I was advertising in the heating and air conditioning news back then about buying and selling surplus inventories, which I do today. And I got a call from some good old boys out of Tennessee telling me they had millions of dollars of chillers and I should send them $1 million. They came out of nuclear power plants. And I knew they were not real kosher, if you know what I mean. But I did research. And I found Tennessee Valley Authority, and I called them up, and they had a 1,000-ton Trane 2-stage absorption chiller. What's amazing, I get a call from Cliff Ryan, and he had a hospital in Joliet, Illinois. And he called me. He said, Steve, I have a 20-year-old 1,000-ton chiller. Are you interested in buying it? I said, Cliff, let me ask you, have you replaced your chiller yet? He said, no, but we have a quote from Trane. I said, what is it on? He said, it's on a 1,000-ton 2-stage absorption chiller for a cogeneration project. I said, what are they quoting you? He said, $300,000. I said, how about we sell it to you for $150 and deliver in 2 weeks? And we made that sale. And the company New Temp was formed. Now, what happened is my brother took New Temp, and we actually split the company up, and now it's Carrier Rental Systems. But Speedway continued for a while. And at that point, personal challenges came up, and I had one of the biggest challenges of my life. I was beginning to look at trying to separate from a warehouse operation to a sell-buy operation, which Lazco does.
Yeah.
Had a half
Yeah.
$500,000 in inventory, was valued about 1.3, and I ran an auction. It was a bad day in Chicago. No one showed and went for $100,000.
Oof.
So it was a challenge. But, obviously, sometimes when we have challenges, new doors open. So from
Yeah.
that place of time, Lazco Corporation was developed to help manufacturers and distributors turn their surplus inventories into working capital. And now, though I'm located today in Clarkdale, Arizona, we work all over the country. But what we do is we negotiate deals directly with the distributors and the manufacturers, and they ship directly to our customers. So what I'm doing differently is I'm sell, buy, not buy, sell. But what this does is it protects the market as well and makes sure that it's a win-win situation for all parties.
Coming from the original family business, the surplus business. I mean, it's something that a lot of people don't think about, but I've known other people in the surplus business, and it's pretty darn good. I mean, would you say that this has been a much better move for you all the way around?
The contracting business was a very
Mhm.
challenging business. Airwise was doing about $4 million a year back in the 90s. But
Yeah.
to maintain the overhead of the trucks, the people, the service, and everything else, that was not a business that I wanted. I called myself basically a deal maker. And so
Hmm.
yes, I preferred to negotiate, to make deals with sellers, manufacturers, where I can work on multiple opportunities. But I thank God for Airwise because I learned
Yeah.
much about the heating and air conditioning industry from the perspective of the contractor, the wholesaler, and the manufacturer. So, yes, it's been a good business. It's been challenging
Yeah.
in some ways. Some of the biggest challenges that I have had is the accuracy of inventory. Where
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
get an inventory from a manufacturer or distributor and we sell it to our customers and they wire us money and then we wire it to the seller. And after we begin shipping, we find 20% is short. And
Right. Right.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
20% could be the most valuable part of the deal.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I'm now really saying to my sellers, before I wire you the money, here's a purchase order. Please confirm the inventory is there, and then we will wire and then work with it. But we need accurate inventories
Right.
because this is very challenging. The other challenging is sometimes when you have a deal and you think it's done, and then all of a sudden accounting will say, oh, sorry, Steve, we can't take the write off, and it's canceled. We've had situations with manufacturers, even at the time of the 13th SEER, and I won't say who the manufacturer was, but we were looking to take their entire inventory around the country
Yeah.
and at a very fair purchase price
Yeah.
on the dollar. We deal in percentages,
Mhm.
so they were getting a fair percentage on the dollar of their cost. And all of the managers around the country were happy to do this because at that point, this was 12 SEER. They were focused on 13 SEER. Like today, they're
Right.
focused on 14 SEER. Well, the company decided to run 10 sales instead. And what happened is they loaded up their dealers with a lot of 12 SEER product that they could not sell because everyone wanted 13 SEER. And some of their
Right.
dealers actually went bankrupt because they couldn't sell it and they owed the money. So there is an
Yeah.
advantage with Lazco because we do wire transfer the funds in
Yeah.
advance based upon confirmed inventory.
Steve, and it just kind of reminds me. I mean, I'm an old inventory guy. That's how I cut my teeth on the consulting side, was the inventory side. And, one of the big challenges that I've seen over the years is this ego
Yeah,
driven, around, well, it's an emotional attachment to this inventory. And you get down at the practical and the smart move is, yeah, take the wire transfer, take the check. I mean, come on,
exactly.
move on. And so I've pounded this into the head of students over the years, that I've taught, is that, hey, look, if they're saying, take 70 cents on the dollar, for example, and this is usually with regard to returning to a supplier or something, get your ego out of the way, man, and take that 70 cents on the dollar and reinvest it in something you can make money at. But
Well, that's exactly right. I have a quote:
yeah.
inventory, surplus inventory is not like fine wine. It does
Right.
not grow in value over time. And one
Right.
other thing that is important is if you're a distributor and you make a line change and you have $100,000 of
Yeah.
surplus, but you now have a new line and you have $2 million in inventory that you need to move. Why would you want your salespeople focused on the 100,000? Why do you want to put your energy in that? If you work with Lazco, we can turn that into working capital. So now your warehouse is free, your salespeople are free, and you're not robbing sales, because most contractors, as you know, Jason, they don't want to stock. So if you're going to
Right.
load up these dealers with surplus product, two things are going to happen. It's going to be harder to sell your current product line at a much higher price, and you're robbing your sales. And so this is why Lazco really, we're the only Hardy member, by the way, that does what we do, because we've been
Yeah.
doing this and respecting the market. There are others in the industry who do it, but they'll put it on the internet and you could sell it to them and they could turn it and sell it to your own customer, which doesn't make a
Right.
lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. It disrupts the chain, and where we all make money is a good, well flowing supply chain, and when you have that disruption in there, it'll back up inventories all the way up the chain. And so it's a really negative situation when you find people dumping product in your own market. Well, you could have done that yourself, frankly,
Yeah.
and if you really wanted to do that, fine, you could have done it yourself. But yeah, I think that emotional attachment is what gets a lot of these distributors in trouble. I mean, that's just they get this emotion around it,
Well,
and
I did also, but I also heard my voice saying, turn your surplus into working capital. So when I
right,
took the hit, I
yeah,
heard myself saying, Steven, deal with it. Otherwise, you're a big hypocrite. So,
that's
but
right,
it,
right,
so it
yeah,
changed, but I'm
sure,
very happy
sure,
because now, logistically, it doesn't make sense. Here we're in Arizona. I do a lot of business, by the way, shipping to Miami, for example, goes to South
right,
America. And I have good
right,
customers there, shipping to Colombia even. So it doesn't make sense to bring product here to Arizona when it's coming out of the Midwest, for example. We'll ship it directly to our customers. And also, like one of my big customers is Legacy Mobile Homes out of Fort Worth, Texas, and Georgia.
yeah,
And I deal
yeah,
with Kenny Shipley there. They're the CEO, and they make 10,000 manufactured homes a year. And I sell them a
hmm,
lot of air conditioning units. I just sold him a truckload of 12,000 BTU mini splits that he's using.
yeah,
But
yeah,
even right now, I'm excited. I'm praying. The storms that hit in the Caribbean. So we are quoting
mm,
right now 500 two-bedroom manufactured homes that will be shipped out of Savannah, Georgia, to the Bahamas, actually, right in Grand Bahamas.
hmm,
And so we have a very good price for them, and they're considering it. And also, Legacy can custom design. So if they wanted some three bedrooms or different
hmm,
sizes, we can do that. And we're using a barge to do that. Well, in that process of working with Legacy Manufactured Homes,
yeah,
an idea came to me to help our
yeah,
veterans, because
yeah,
too many of our veterans, as you know, are homeless, and too many of them are broken, and they need an opportunity to create a community. So what we're
right,
looking at is manufactured homes for veterans, where we will have between 3 and 5 acres of land that we'll purchase to have these veteran communities, where we'll have 30 manufactured homes per community. 27, for example, the single men's will
yeah,
be two bedroom, two bath. 27, we'll have three
yeah,
in front, one for job training, social, another which will be for fundraising, not just for ours, but all veteran causes, a community garden behind that. That was my wife Joyce's idea, and a leadership trailer. So we'll have
yeah,
that'll be single men's. Then we have single women with children and widows. Again, the
hmm,
concept 30 manufactured homes. And
yeah,
then also family. This would be husband, wife, and children. So I truly believe, and you and I talked about this, that
yeah, yeah,
because you were there, that the
yeah,
isolation of the veterans has been part of the problem, because they've always been part of a community. So
right,
Lazco is
right,
working this out. We're probably looking to have our first one in Arizona sometime in
yeah,
2020. And I would just ask anyone who wants to find out more information, they can email me at Lazco Corp. That's LAZCOCORP at gmail.com. And
yeah.
our website is www.lazco.com.
Yeah. Well, and definitely, Stephen, we'll put those in the show notes, and so people can see that link on it and come check that out. But it's a fascinating concept. You talked a little bit about it, and as you said, primarily they're starting in Arizona, proof of concept, and trying to really find that and see where that goes. But I absolutely agree with you, as we shared earlier, that this idea of community, this is where, you can really drive this community thought. And, I think as you age, you recognize how important community really is in your life. A lot of
Yes.
people think that they can do it on their own for a long time. And guys like you and me who are independent, we don't have a big office staff around. We don't
No.
have a community from a work standpoint, at least physical community around us, but how important that is in life. Really, I mean, I think in my 20s is when I started to really realize how important community was, and where that shapes you. You come out of college and you say, okay, well, I had this massive community in this university environment, and then now what's next?
Everyone's isolated. Exactly.
Right,
And you know
right.
what, Jason, we just moved to Clarkdale, Arizona, which from
Yeah,
Scottsdale. We just literally moved January 16th. And I'm
yeah,
amazed at this area of Cottonwood, Clarkdale. And it is community. The people are
yeah,
so nice. And
yeah,
it's refreshing, and you just people
yeah,
wave, say hi. So often in Scottsdale, everyone's so busy. No one says anything to anyone. And I think
right.
that's going on very much everywhere. But I think once we realize the value of community, and
Yeah,
even in the heating and air conditioning industry, that,
yeah,
we have to be able to help each other, and do this. And, this is why my passion is to help distributors and manufacturers
right.
turn their surplus inventories into working capital. So I would
Yeah,
just say to any distributor or manufacturer, if you're sitting with surplus, excess equipment, compressors, controls, and you're wondering what to do, send an email to lazcocorp@gmail.com, and we'll take a look at it and give you a very good option.
sure. No, absolutely. Yes. And, I have friends. I don't know if you've ever run across a company called Warehouse 2, TWO.com.
No.
I'll have you take a look at a guy named Mark Tomalonis that I've known for a number of years. He came out of the industrial supply business, and he's gotten involved with surplus inventories because I think he has that same passion, that same belief that I've got to help these distributors rid themselves of that excess inventory so that they can thrive. They can use that working capital to build their businesses and jump into the newer products that people want. I mean, really, that's the goal and the service there is things that is so funny. Actually, ironically, a good friend of mine called me this morning. He's in the fastener business, and we talked a lot about dead inventory. And he was asking me about another service very similar to what you're describing if I had any exposure to it, and I hadn't at the time. But we talked about that bane of every distributor's existence is this excess inventory, or this unwanted, unproductive inventory is really the better term for it. But nobody takes the time to think about it. It's always the back burner project, and it's always we lump it onto somebody who already has an 8-hour job, and we expect that something's going to happen, and it isn't. And so I think
Osmosis.
that,
It doesn't
yes, it's
disappear. No.
no, it isn't. It's not this magical thing. And so if we're not putting effort against it, then it's not going to move. But this is where people can look at a service like yours and say, I have an opportunity to move a great deal of product in a relatively short period. And am I going to take a haircut on it? Yes, I am. But that's part of the service. I need to turn this back into, as you said, working capital so that I can go and buy new product.
Exactly. Because by the time they turn this, they could have turned current inventory 4 times. And in the end, again,
Absolutely.
when they dump it, they're only robbing their own sales. But there's another area of inventory I want to talk about, and it comes
Yeah.
from canceled projects. We sell actually to a lot of the rental
Yeah.
companies, Carrier Rental and other rental companies, chillers.
Yeah.
And what happens is the renting equipment, and New Temp became a leader in the rental business. So we sell used chillers. And even now I'm
Hmm.
working on 2 chillers that are 2018, 100-ton drain chillers. They're like
Yep.
brand new, but they knocked down the building. I have an 800-ton Carrier chiller that I'm selling for $77,000. It goes for $300,000. That's
Yeah.
brand new. So we can also save customers money on projects where maybe Carrier or Train or York can't provide it, but it might
Right.
be available through Lasco.
Yeah, and I think that is the beauty. I mean, is really that movement. Now, obviously, you do not want to take that particular product into Arizona and hang on to it. You
No,
know,
it's sitting in Ohio, so it's ready to go. But
yeah,
this is,
yeah.
and so we have other customers who do data. What they do is decommission data centers.
Oh,
So
okay,
we
yeah,
get
yeah,
generator and Liebert units and other things that come out. So there's a lot of different products that are coming, and sometimes because of a budget, people will replace equipment that's working fine. And
Hmm.
just because they can get the money for it. And so this is perfectly working equipment that we can use to help save people money that don't have a budget to buy,
Yeah.
directly in a situation. So it goes both ways. We try to work with companies to turn their inventories, but also to save money, but still always be mindful of the market because we
Yeah.
respect distribution channels.
If I could take a little bit of a segue here, going back to something you just started to touch on. Again, Lasco has been very good to you over the years, and it's a profitable organization, but you found ways to take that profitability and move it into some other projects to really give back. Could you talk about a couple of them? I mean, this is really kind of actually an
Well,
extension of what Lasco really is by helping
yeah.
people, but going even further.
My wife and I are ministers, and we have a
Yeah.
shortwave radio program going around the world.
Yeah.
And that's Yeshua, which is the Hebrew name of Jesus,
Yeah.
MessiahMinistries.com. And so
Yeah.
many people are hurting. And so we always try to let them know the love of God can heal a broken heart, and
Yeah.
forgiveness is freedom. And we tell our veterans this when I pray with them and so forth. And we have a prayer line every Tuesday. We were on for 3 hours last night. And we pray
Yeah.
for America. We pray for our president. We pray for the church. We pray for the nations. And it's important that people realize they're not alone. And so unity, again, here we go, a house divided cannot stand. So
Mhm.
we got to come together, be thankful for the gift that we have in America, the freedoms that we have in America, and
Mhm.
not try to divide this country through hatred, but through
Right.
love and through forgiveness. And as we help our veterans with this project, as we do the work that we do through LASCO, because we're not a 501c. So, and
Mhm.
we tell people if you need prayer, you can send an email to Yeshua prayer and praise at gmail.com. So we're
Mhm.
available to just encourage people. Even as an entrepreneur, I like to encourage young people that they have many gifts, and many of
Yeah.
them have the opportunity to create their own business and follow their passion. And they just have to really pray about it, but know that there's many ways to be successful, that God has given natural, spiritual, supernatural gifts to be
Mhm.
successful in life. But I think one of the important things is the attitude of gratitude.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I'll tell you, Stephen, I do interview a lot of business owners and I meet a lot of entrepreneurs along the way and, maybe young people coming up in their organizations. And I think there is that missing component in their lives and they just haven't discovered it yet. How do I give back and how do I serve the greater community? How do I, and actually a friend of mine in the nonprofit world used to say, how do we share our treasure? Not only our
Uh,
ideas and our thoughts, but our treasure as well. And it's something that I think many people struggle with, finding that way to do
well, it's
that.
very important. The gift is in the giving. And I will
Yeah.
tell business people that when you give to a good cause that's helping people, whether it be a smile train or whether
Hmm.
it be the children's hospitals, St. Jude, whatever it is that's
Hmm.
doing good work or even ministry purposes, when you give, the gift is in the giving. And,
Yeah.
even in the scriptures, it's written in Malachi, it
Yeah.
says, prove me if I will not open up the doors of heaven and pour out a blessing upon you through one's giving. We can't
Hmm.
take it with us. So when you give from your business to help others, whether it be a food shelter or anyone in your own community or some of the
Hmm.
other ones, I can tell you that your business will be blessed.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that that's really important. And I was sharing with you, my friend in Wisconsin, Geneva Supply, he gives back by inviting high school students in and really teaching them about business and giving them an opportunity to really see what an entrepreneur feels like and what it looks like, and to interview other entrepreneurs to get them excited about possibilities. And I think if you look at the media too much, you get this desperation and this lack of hope, and I really enjoy entrepreneurs that are trying to spread that message of hope that hey, this is a great time to be alive, please.
Exactly. And we have to
Yeah.
give up what I call victimitis.
Yeah, there
Okay,
you
there's
go.
too much
Yeah.
victimitis going on. And we realize that my father used to tell me, you get out of it what you put into it. It's a very good attitude. And we have to look at people, and it's very easy to blame this one or that one, but it doesn't do any good. And, I can tell you, obviously, President Trump, this man's not even getting a paycheck, and he's gone through a lot of fire. But the
Mhm.
fact is, he is a businessman. He does know about running a business, and he is doing I believe, a good job. He's not a perfect guy. For a while, I didn't like him and I got
Yeah.
corrected. And saying that it's not an easy job. But rather than throwing stones at him, we're better off praying for him and supporting him. And we
Yeah.
need unity in this country because there's too much hatred, there's too much blame. And when you do that, young people are susceptible to reacting. Even the other day, I just read someone brought a knife to the White House. I mean, this has to stop. So I think there's a
Right.
responsibility in the government and in the media to start coming back to what we call news and not gossip. And I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah.
very important. So I really thank you, Jason, because I know you do that. And what you do is really, I'm very thankful. And I know everyone else is, because it's good to reach people on a personal level, to get to know them a little better. So I really thank you for this time.
Oh, yeah, yeah, my pleasure. No, it's been a pleasure learning about you. And really, as I said before, I absolutely believe that, as we are blessed with good fortune, throughout our business careers, that we have to pause for a moment and develop that attitude of gratitude, as you mentioned earlier, and say, okay, now what can I do to better the world around me? And
That's
I mean,
right.
if we see, I think about the images of, Scrooge McDuck sitting on the pile of money there, you know, that's not a life well lived. That's not a life well
Exactly.
spent. And I have to sometimes say that with age comes wisdom, that this is not perhaps the attitude I had at a younger age, but over the course of life you start to recognize that that is the life well spent is really finding, how do I become of service to others?
Well, I've
Yeah.
learned much from my wife, Joyce Lazar, my beloved wife, who is the CFO of Lazco, and she does a much better job managing money than I do. And
Yeah.
I've been corrected because the Lord has said, time to go on a budget. And
Yeah.
so I need to
Yeah.
do more of that. And so
Mhm.
I've learned about someone like my wife who, even in amazing, challenging situations, never played the victim, was always
Mhm.
thankful, helping others, praying for others. And she was, really a gift from the Lord. And we got married May 25th, 2014, and I couldn't be happier. So I'm
Mhm.
very thankful, and I think family is important too. And I think the solid family is a key to the success.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that in a lot of the businesses, that I work with, and a lot of the interactions I have and the clients I work with are all family businesses. I have a tremendous passion for family business. I have never worked in a larger corporation, so that's a foreign territory for me. I just don't know much about it, but I do believe in the family and the family business, and I think that there are obviously inherent challenges with that. Working with my family over the years, but I think that really the backbone of this country is that family unit and that family business. I mean, and so many wonderful things and really healing things can come from the respect for that and the
Absolutely.
fostering of that.
And we need to be able to get off the technology to some degree. I think
Yeah.
in many
Yeah.
ways, the internet, the Amazon, the everything else, I feel bad because I know a lot of small businesses have been put out of business.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think we have to invest in the local business. We have to come back, even our kids, to have communication and reading books of paper and
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
just being on the computer. The computer has become the babysitter of our
Yeah.
kids. And we need relationships. I think relationships are very important. So,
Hmm.
as parents, we have to encourage our children, to use their gifts. And as entrepreneurs, we want to encourage our children to reach out, to seek those gifts so that they can create their own businesses. Some of them,
Yeah.
might not want to be in the family business, but can create their own businesses. I chose to do, and as
Yeah.
you did also. So we're
Yeah.
thankful
Yeah.
from the lessons through the family, but we also need the opportunity to fly with our own wings when we're meant to.
Absolutely correct. I mean, I just, when I look back on my 16 years of being independent, of the family and just the lessons that I've learned, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I absolutely love this life. And I think something you mentioned earlier was that I can recreate my day. I can recreate what I do at any given moment. I have that ability and nobody can fire me. Only my wife can fire me,
That's
and
right.
and my community can fire me. But from a business, I get to continue, reinventing myself and looking for opportunities. And it's really been the greatest pleasure of the last 16 years is that I have that opportunity. And as my friend Jeff, shares with these high school students, I hope that students understand that yes, you can do this. You don't have to have this ridiculous fortune behind you. You can start something.
You remember Michael Land in Highway to Heaven?
I do.
There were
Yes,
always
yes.
life lessons. In fact, we
Yes,
got them.
I remember
and
that,
we watch
yeah.
them all the time. And I think, and I see actually you, Jason, with some of the podcasts, bringing in some of the messages into the schools. And I'd like to support you with it because we need to let the young people in high school, I've even told people, what's your passion? They said, well, I want to be an architect. I said, okay. Then what you need to do is start working for an architectural firm while you're in high school. Even part-time, even if you don't get a penny, you're going to learn practical experience. So by the time you're in high school and college, two things are going to happen. You're either going to become an architect or you're going to do something different. So we need to start encouraging the young people in high school and even younger that they have the opportunity to create their life through a business, write a book, do something, use the gifts they have, and stop playing victimitis. So I would love to see, and I wish those shows could actually be a class in schools where you could teach life lessons. And I've been praying that there's going to be a shift in the teachers, because too many high schools, too many colleges, it's about victimitis and not allowing them to learn from the challenges of life.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Yeah. I have to catch myself every once in a while because I am disappointed in what is being taught and what is being shown in our education environment today, and I will always seek out those individuals who want to break that mold and want to, and to really give people hope again, give them a hope that there is something better if they choose to go after it. Yeah.
Amen to that.
All right, my friend. Well, hey, Steven, thank you so much for spending time with me. This was a phenomenal conversation. And just once again, how can people reach you? I'd love to see them, take a look at not only your business.
First of all,
but
they can call me.
Yeah.
My number is 480-265-9980. That's 480-265-9980.
Yeah.
You can send an email to Lazco, that's LAZCOCORP @gmail.com. You can visit our website, which is www.lazcocorp.com. We also have LinkedIn, and actually I'm amazed. I have 15,000 people in the Lazco LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And so I've been very thankful on that. And they can check out, if they Google Lazco LinkedIn, sign up. Again, you could visit also Yeshua, YESHUA, MessiahMinistries.com. And if you're needing prayer over anything, you can send a prayer to Yeshua Prayer and Praise @gmail.com. And if you have surplus inventories, please send your surplus list, Lazco Corp @gmail.com.
Sounds great, Steven. Well, again, I really appreciate your time today, and I look forward to the next time our paths cross.
Thank you so much, Jason. And I know that you are on a wonderful journey helping people, and you've been a gift, and I really appreciate you.
You bet. Thanks again. Thank you for listening. If you liked what you heard, consider hitting that subscribe button. Links to sponsors, products, and services mentioned during this episode can be found in the show description area on your podcast application or at www.distributiontalk.com. Distribution Talk is edited and mixed by Andrea Klunder and Edwin Ruiz at the Creative Imposter Studios. This episode was brought to you by my company, The Distribution Team. We are a consulting services firm dedicated to helping wholesale distribution clients remove barriers to profitability, generate wealth, and achieve personal goals. To learn more about how we can help your company succeed, check us out at www.thedistributionteam.com.